To have Paul on the show with us. I mean, this is 2 matches, Ian, out of 3 that's on home soil now against teams that the US are expected to get points against.
Yeah, you make a great point. 2 of the matches on home soil, very important to have that focus. I do love listening to Paul and his determination to try and get in and around that starting 11 to put himself into the mix. You clearly tell that this is a great group that like one another. That has been evident previously, but now it's about time to start to turn it on. There's some key players missing in this roster, Poppy. There's no doubt about it. Some big names. Gio's not there. Christian's not there. And it's very easy, as the international boys will tell you, to just like take your eye off the ball for a split second because you've got an excuse the big boys are not there. Forget about it. This is the United States men's national team. They have to win. After what happened the last time around in World Cup qualifying, there's no excuses this time around. They've got to find a way to get the job done. But that chemistry, that team building, the youth, and I love that excitement there. You can see he's got a desire to one day play in Europe, and sometimes the best way to do that is to perform well for your national team. It's great to see, and it's all the better for the national team going forward.
Yes, Ian, and you can see that they are pumping. They are excited. They want to do better. They know that the last 3 games, they were at the beginning of this. There is a long road ahead of them, but they want to do better. And I think that it's true that there are some big players missing for this team, but we are going to see versatile players who can. Well, we've been talking about, players who can play on the wide areas, but they can play. And Paul, I think, is one of those players who can play in different positions. He can play behind the striker, he can play a little bit wider. Aronson can play the same way. So I think Berhalter is trying to fight that. You never know what is going to happen in 3-4 months because still a lot to be played. You can have injuries, you can have problems to pick the players up front, in the middle, even at the back. So at the end, it's very important that you have that kind of ability to move players, to have players who can play in different positions. And at the moment, you have that. Maybe, of course, you don't have Sargent up front, don't have Pifog up front, players who are perfect for that position, but maybe you have 2-3 different players who can do that and also play in different other positions. So at the end, it's about having that kind of rotation that is going to be very needed. 3 times every single time that they get together. They have 3 games in such a short time. So they can be injured. You have to rest them. So very important. Now, rotation, key, and have players who can play in different positions. So I think it's a fantastic roster. And, well, first game, key. Let's try to win it.
When you look at the last camp, they used 21 starters of the 26 players that came into camp. So you're going to rely heavily on that. Again, obviously, 2 of those games are at home. I'm most interested to see how they roll that out, how Greg Berhalter decides how we're going to play at home. The U.S. has always traditionally struggled on the road to play beautifully or play well or play teams off the pitch. It is a grind there. But I'm worried about how you shift that mentality from outplaying a team at home. You're playing against Jamaica, who's probably going to give you most of the possession. We saw in their first games, they sat deeper and deeper into the pitch, sometimes 8 players in their own box, springing out on the counterattack, scoring against Mexico with their 1 shot of the match. That can be a dangerous thing as you start to lull a team to sleep that you shut off just for a moment. So I'm interested to see how they're going to approach these home games versus their away games, and overall, how they're going to rotate this squad. Obviously, 3 matches in a qualifying round is different than it used to be with 2 matches, and so you're having to rely on your depth or player rotation and how those players balance out together. But ultimately, if I'm Greg Berhalter, I'm again going back to, I know I'm beating this to death, but the fight and the energy of the team. And that's a struggle. Most of these players are technical players. They're used to playing a certain way. Their standard of the national team has gotten to such a level that they're used to playing beautifully, and that is something very different. And I think that plays into our advantage with the fact that you don't have a Pulisic, you don't have a Reina, who are used to playing a certain way. Yes, they have a fight in them. Yes, they have a certain level of intensity, but now you have an opportunity to put other players in that bring a different type of attribute, and that's that energy and that fight and that hunger to, 1, make this squad, but 2, to get results in a different way.
Now, Heath, Paul gave us the answers. He told us they're going to start to play a little bit more vertical, which is unheard of under Greg Berhalter. The fact that they're actually having a discussion, building a narrative around playing forward quickly and potentially going into that route 1. Now, it sounds a little more sexy when you call it just that vertical play per se. But I like that we're going to have different options for some of our players because, as Heath correctly mentioned, Jamaica's going to sit back. So we have to play forward and try to break their lines as soon as humanly possible. And if everybody is on the same page, then there's not going to be any frustration. The time you see frustration in a game is when you have have your central midfield, and they're thinking we're going to keep the ball, and then the defenders lump it up top, and then there's no connection between the two. We're not winning the second balls. There's no flow or rhythm. So now that we're actually trying to establish some patterns of play that also includes verticality, I think that's a great sign that's going to give us a little bit more balance as we go from up and down, and also left to right as we try to create some space and take what they're giving us. We don't do a good job of that at times. Sometimes our ego gets in the way. We're trying to play a certain way as opposed to just taking what the opponent's giving us. So if we continue to do that and obviously play with some urgency, as Heath's talking about, we're going to be fine against Jamaica, but we got to make sure that we're stepping on their throat for the whole 90 minutes and not letting up.
Yeah, I guess, Jimmy, we'll find out how good Greg Berhalter really is. I mean, these next 3 games are so vitally important to your qualification process. You got to get results. Of course, you want to play well. I'm intrigued with Heath's point right there. How does Greg rotate it? What happens if you have a fantastic game against Jamaica? Do you rotate it much, or do you stick with the same team 3 days later? This is a big squad. Obviously, they all want to play. They all want to play a role. Greg has shown previously, as Heath had also mentioned, that 21 players had played a part in the last qualifiers, which was really impressive. But also, we were left wanting more from this team. I don't want to come away from these 3 qualifiers thinking, well, you know, we left something out there on the table. That starts with the first game. That starts with Jamaica. 100%. Lucho's spot on. Go and get the 3 points there. The performance is massively important. Absolutely. We want to see this team playing the best football. We want to see them scoring goals. All I really care about is that they win and they get to a World Cup. And of course, the process will improve you as a team, as a unit, as a group, and Greg in particular as well. I'm really intrigued now. You don't have Christian Pulisic there. Your star player, Gio Reyna's not there. John Brooks not there, experience. You have some players coming back with a point to prove. Weston McKennie, I'm watching you. And you've also got Zach Steffen coming back fighting out for a place in between the sticks. So there's a lot of battles going on. Greg's the man who makes the decisions right now. He's the man where all my focus is on. What his starting 11 is. Does he go with his best 11 for the first match day? I didn't see that last time out. I'm excited to see what happens this time out, and I hope they win all 3 games. I'm not sure if it's possible. I went on a limb and said they can win all 14 games last time out.
You had a bold statement for us.
The squad is good enough to do so. They should be competing to win every single game. And the last time around with the qualifiers, we didn't see that. This time around, I want to see it.
No doubt a massive week, and stay with us because we've got plenty more to come on Greg Berhalter's side as we look ahead to this qualifying window. But a quick reminder for you, Destination Porto, the unimaginable journey, provides an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at journalist Guillaume Balaguer's travels across a continent struggling to contain a devastating pandemic as he covers the chase for the greatest annual prize in sports, the UEFA Champions League trophy. Stream the new documentary now and exclusively on Paramount+.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.